Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for my rational perspective on Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 0. Chelsea through to the semi-final once again of the FA Cup. A chance for a wonderful end to the season, very much alive with us being in the quarterfinals of the Champions League as well, and now the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Fingers crossed we get a decent draw, but we know from this stage it gets serious. It's going to be a really difficult road to win that FA Cup, but it's great to be in the semi-final once again. It was a big game for Chelsea. I don't think it was the best performance. There were some very shaky moments late on. Sheffield United should have scored today. They should have broken our sort of record without conceding to an opposition player. And somehow McGoldrick, who loves a goal against Chelsea, somehow missed a target. I don't know if Kepa put him off. For some reason, the football gods were shining on us as they have been recently under Thomas Tuchel, and it went the other side of the post, and Chelsea kept a clean sheet once again. But I don't think you can call it the most resolute performance. I think there were certain contributing factors towards this. I think the amount of changes Tuchel made, I think 9 in total after the Atletico Madrid win. We expected rotation. We expected him to do this. We know he's going to make about 4 to 5 changes per game, but I think the sheer amount of changes he made today, I think just hurt Chelsea in a lot of facets. I think more so in the first half, and I think more generally in attack. I think it was very difficult to pinpoint offensively where Chelsea's strengths were. I think Christian Pulisic was the most exciting and inventive and integral player within that. I think he was unlucky. I think in truth, I think he was the player that looked the most influential, looking to make things happen even by himself, trying to take on Sheffield United players and get in on goal for Aaron Ramsdale, or trying to set up something for someone else. I think all round, whether it was Callum Hudson-Odoi pressing up the pitch today, had a poor game for me today. Mason Mount struggled to influence the game in a number of positions. I think Olivier Giroud to me looks really lost under Thomas Tuchel. I think at the moment he's really struggling because to me, every time I see this team play, it looks better and more fluid and more offensive without a natural forward. I think the way we played a game, even in a game where you felt, okay, a team sitting very deep like Sheffield United, especially in the first half, this is going to suit him, but we never played the ball into his feet. He never was able to really influence it in any serious manner. And there were certain times where we were playing the ball over the top for him to run onto, which of course isn't his game. It's Timo Werner's game. So I just think for Giroud currently, and I think it's maybe the same for Tammy Abraham, with Kai Havertz flourishing in this sort of false 9, number 9 system currently, and it's working well with Ziyech now getting back to good form too. I think it's going to be difficult for those natural forwards to get back into this team. At least that's just my opinion at the moment based on what I'm seeing. So I think he struggled. But I felt it's weird. It's like you could look at one negative and then look at one positive. I think individually there were certain players today that really impressed me. Christensen and Zuma having really good games defensively, getting in there at key moments to stop Sheffield United scoring. And both of those players have been so good for Thomas Tuchel so far. And Christensen, I don't know if he was taken off because of his sickness recently. He was unwell for Wednesday. I don't know if he only got an hour because of that. Because I think when he came off, I think we lacked something in defence because he left. I think he had a really good game, really strong game, and Zuma really took up the mantle from Christensen and made some key blocks as the game went on. And I think he looked frustrated because I think he was almost like, I shouldn't be having to do this much work today. Chelsea should have put the game to bed really in the first half, given the amount of dominance they had in possession. But really, you had to expect that, of course, Sheffield United were going to do a little bit more in that second half because it is a cup game. They had nothing to lose. This was really their cup final because they're getting relegated from the Premier League. That isn't changing. And this was really their last chance to grab some pride or grab something from what has been a pretty poor season for them. I think there were certain performances today like Callum Hudson-Odoi offensively, but also defensively. I think Hudson-Odoi and also Reece James too really struggled to deal with Osborne on that left side, and I think that's why Hudson-Odoi was eventually taken off. I think Hudson-Odoi should have done more today. I'm a little bit frustrated with not seeing enough of him on that left side, the left of the front three, because he looks so good against Everton in that role. It's just a shame with all the rotation, he isn't really benefiting from that at the moment, because I think that's probably long-term his best position. I still think wing-back now, right wing-back for me, is going to be Reece James. I think that is his position now, I think defensively, and also maybe a little bit offensively as well, like we saw against Atletico Madrid. I think Reece James is really nailing down that position. But Hudson-Odoi struggled for me today. And I just think Emerson as left centre-back, there was a few times Emerson in the first half gave the ball away really cheaply. And I think that's another area where Tuchel may be over-rotating players. I know Emerson scored a big goal in midweek, but overall, I just think for me, Emerson in that role just doesn't look that comfortable to me, and I'd rather Rudiger in there, Kurt Zouma as well. And I think maybe that contributed to our lack of incisiveness, our lack of fluidity, our lack of passing range too from that position where we've seen Rudiger perform so well for Chelsea. But at the end of the day, it's a 2-0 win, isn't it? And I think that you could be overly critical. We're getting big results. We're getting into key stages of the season, and Chelsea are looking good. They're looking strong. I mean, I think the way Tuchel will look at it at the end of the day is we rotated very heavily. I rested some key players. We got the win and we move on now. And that's the key thing. And we're into the last 4. I do think when we get to that last 4, I think he'll be putting up a very strong side. I don't think it will be as heavily rotated as we saw today. I can't see Emerson playing in the semi-final as left centre-back. I can't see Kepa. Despite having a good game today, I think confidence-wise for him, he's got 3 clean sheets under Thomas Tuchel so far. The Barnsley, the Newcastle, and today against Sheffield United. So that's great for him personally, but I just still think Edouard Mendy has cemented himself as Chelsea's number 1 this season. And I just think all round there were certain elements to today's game that just made it a little bit of a tough watch. 2 other players I want to mention. Firstly, Billy Gilmour coming back into the side. There was a little bit of doubt whether he'd be featuring today. Great to see him get some minutes. I actually think it was a little bit harsh he was taken off, to be honest. I think there could have been other players at the time he was taken off that could have came off. I think Gilmour still to me looks very exciting. I love the way he's so direct with his play. He's always looking to get the ball out of feet very quickly. 1-2 touch football, which I think is what this team needs in possession. I think the fluidity in that midfield, the mobility too. I think the willingness in a tackle, I think is so key for Billy Gilmour. I just think it's a bit of a shame for Gilmour that it's still, to me, even playing today, playing against Barnsley, which is a long gap really in terms of the games. He's not even featuring in some squads as well. I just still wonder whether it was the right move for him to stay and not go out on loan, because he's not in the current Scotland squad. For him personally, it looks unlikely he's going to make the Euros at this rate. Jorginho, Kovacic, Kante playing so well, and I fully expect for the West Brom game, Tuchel will be going back to what he's done so far in the Premier League. I don't expect Gilmour to start that game, and you do wonder where the game's going to come from Billy Gilmour unless there's a massive injury in that area. I just can't see it happening unless one of their form deteriorates. I just can't see it personally, and I just don't think it's the best for his development. So in the summer, he may be looking for a loan move as well. But he impressed me once again today. I think it's great to see him getting minutes when he can. And Ben Chilwell, who set up the goal, wonderful goal for Hakim Ziyech to finish. I think Ben Chilwell, defensively, you look at his all-round numbers. I was looking here at, from expected Chelsea, had a really, really impressive game. Of course, put the ball in for the own goal in the first half. But I just think defensively too, I think Chilwell's had a difficult few months, and I think he was out of the team. Him and Alonso seem to be switching and rotating very comfortably at the moment. I think you put Chilwell in for one game, he performs. You put Alonso in for another, he performs. It's working. I think both of those having that competition to play in that role. I think Chilwell's doing himself no harm at the moment in terms of his level performances. I think there was some critique about his performance last weekend against Leeds, especially offensively, where he sets up Hakim Ziyech today. So hopefully that does him confidence, and I think he deserves praise as well, Ben Chilwell. But those are my thoughts on today's victory against Sheffield United. It wasn't a highlight-filled game, but at the end of the day, Chelsea got the result they needed. We're into the last 4 of the FA Cup. A great chance to win Thomas Tuchel's first piece of silverware as Chelsea's head coach. The end to the season, it could be remarkable if you couple it with the Champions League, the top 4 race too. We have that international break now, which I have to be honest with you guys, I actually quite like. I think it's been so intense the last few months with Chelsea, and I think hopefully for those players too with fatigue, they can... Some of course have to play internationals as well, but hopefully for some players like Thiago Silva, Tammy Abraham, Jorginho can get the rest they need to come back stronger for the conclusion of the season following the international break, where hopefully Chelsea have a wonderful end to the season. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments below. Subscribe, hit that like button, notification bell too. Follow me on Twitter @SonofChelsea, and I'll see you again.